Hey Sandhya, let's start by just asking a very simple thing. Who is Sandhya Bhat? And it is very important for our audience to know, okay? Because I know you very well and I know what kind of an experience from your consulting and HR profession you bring. And this whole podcast is going to bring insights, especially for the HR professionals who want to start their consulting journey alongside their job or completely transition by leaving their job and start their HR consulting experience. So please tell, who is Sandhya Bhat?
Wow. First of all, thank you, Himani, for this opportunity for this podcast. And who is Sandhya Bhat? So I think Sandhya has different flavors to her, and I've been in the industry for about 27 odd years now. Started off as a pure corporate HR professional for about 12, 13 years. And then I think it was more by necessity that I kind of gave up the corporate life and I got into In fact, I didn't get into consulting. I took a break.
Mhm.
And it was only after about 3 years, once my child was old enough, that I actually decided to get into consulting, which again happened by chance because a couple of my friends gave me an opportunity. So total experience of the corporate HR is about 12 years. And for the last 15 odd years, I've been into consulting, out of which the last 5 or 6 years have been a mix of consulting and coaching. So that's a little about me professionally. Otherwise, I live in Pune. I have a son who's 18 who's gone off to the US for his undergrad, and it's just me and my husband right now.
Yes, I think this is a phase of your life which you're enjoying right now.
Oh, completely,
Yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Sandhya, I've also worked into the corporate not as long as you have. And when I left my job first time, when I decided only, okay, fine, I have to leave my job. It was never an easy decision to take that because you're getting that stable monthly salary, right? So I just really want to ask you what inspired you, okay, and would have been maybe a tough decision to leave that stable corporate HR job and to start your own HR consultancy.
Yeah. I was just thinking of that time, of that phase when I took this decision. So it was not easy, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, for me, I knew that I wanted to do something different, right? But that moment where I took this decision was, I said, it was a mix of a lot of things. It was
Mm-hmm.
actually, I wanted to grow a little more. I've always had that desire to make a greater impact.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think the corporate life tends to box you. So
Yeah.
I wanted to really, have a more horizontal breadth of experience. Um, and I had gained a lot of experience and knowledge in a very structured environment
Mm-hmm.
where I had worked with a lot of big companies, large scale initiatives. The scale was very big. But I think I also was craving a lot of flexibility. I was also craving
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, autonomy. I wanted to work on my own terms. I wanted to work in a flexible mode. And somewhere there was also this pull to work with smaller organizations. I had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of my friends at that time who had their own startups, who had their companies which had maybe 20, 30, 40 employees. And there was some pull that I wanted to work with them, and I wanted to bring all this knowledge and expertise that I had gained in the corporate with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the one reason to really push me out of the whole corporate structured environment was basically to go more wider,
Yeah.
get more horizontal, work with different kinds of companies, work with different kinds of industries, and also somewhere I think I had that passion for entrepreneurship. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
really build something. I wanted to have a clean canvas, a clean slate where I could then design the HR interventions, and I could really see what the impact of that was on the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and I think the last thing what really prompted me was also to take on accountability of the areas that I was involved with, and to
Mm-hmm.
work with people who had that shared vision as me, who shared that passion. I think somewhere in a corporate environment, at least for me, I
Mm-hmm.
missed out on some aspects of that individual passion and creativity, which then I got when I was working with consulting, or when I
Sandhya, you have Of course, you must be doing very, very good. That's the reason you have not gone back to your corporate job. Because a lot of people, they start something and they realize that it's not working, and then they have to go back because of some reasons to the corporate job. Yeah. So that is one of the proof you're doing really good into your consulting career. That's the reason. But I really want to check with you. What is something are you're missing from your corporate life?
Or to be very honest, I'm missing the monthly paycheck, which was guaranteed.
Okay.
Uh, that is for sure. You know what? It's a
Mm-hmm.
huge differentiator, especially when you take that plunge.
Mm-hmm.
You are so used to getting a fixed paycheck, a decent amount as well. And
Mm-hmm.
suddenly when you become this, you're like, okay, you've got to every month is a new is a new lesson, right? Every month you
Yeah.
don't know what's going to come. You might have a windfall or you may have nothing or very less.
Mm-hmm.
So what I miss definitely is that consistent amount of revenue. I also miss a lot of systems, the
Mm-hmm.
whole systemic part of the organization. I miss having a complete machinery around me to get things done.
Mm-hmm.
uh, but this over a period of time I think has become very very less. It's become a faint memory of how I was working in the corporate. I'm enjoying this phase and I wouldn't trade it for anything, Himani. I'm absolutely
Mm-hmm.
fine. I am. And yes, I've seen a lot of people, like you said, who go back to the corporate world because
Yeah.
they are very structured in their approach and
Mm-hmm.
it takes a different mindset to become an entrepreneur.
Sandhya, just can you walk us through your unique expertise, okay, and how you have transformed your corporate HR experience into a distinctive consulting offering?
Okay. Now this is, I'm saying this from my perspective and some feedback that I've received from a few business owners that I've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think my ability is to understand the business and mm, uh, marry that with a very human centered approach. Very simply put. So, most HR professionals I have seen completely miss out on the business aspect of HR, right? Especially
Okay.
when you're working as a consultant, when you're working with small, medium enterprises,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot ignore the what is it that the business was formed for? What is the business owner's issues and how is he
Mm-hmm.
dealing with it day in and day out? Okay. So what I think is that I have mixed or I have translated
Mm-hmm.
the ability to blend data
Mm-hmm.
plus a lot of human centered approach. In fact, in the corporate world, I think there was a lot of association with senior leadership teams and implement solutions which are very broad based, which are aligned with business goals. In a smaller organization, it becomes even more important to customize it very distinctly to that organization.
Yeah.
And also, what I think has helped me is my and I'm very lucky that I've had the opportunity to work with different kinds of industries,
Mm-hmm.
be it manufacturing, be it retail, be it auto, IT, advertising, marketing. So what happens is that a blend of these different perspectives, then
Mm-hmm.
I can just blend it and see what is it that an organization can make the best of. So it is, I think, data plus a human centered approach. And at the bottom of or at the top of all of that is really having a very clear focus on what is it that the employee is experiencing in the organization
Sure.
from onboarding till exit. What is the employee experience that the organization is able to provide to that individual?
Mm-hmm.
And also understanding what is the business vision that the owner has. So it's the ability of thinking big, looking at a
Mm-hmm.
35,000 feet view, like completely zooming out and seeing what does the business want, and then getting on to what the employee is going to take away from each of these HR interventions. And I think that has been something that I have been able to crack, especially with the with small organizations, with entrepreneurs,
Mm-hmm.
with companies which have maybe 100, 200, 300 people. I think that would be it.
Personally, I really like one good point here because I've seen also a lot of people when they start their consulting, maybe from the marketing consultant or maybe HR, different fields. At that moment, they just feel that yes, they are starting the consulting, they are good into the HR or finance or maybe marketing, and they have to help those company to resolve those issues from that field. Okay, but Yes, the company on what based it has been foundation. It has to be understand, right?
Oh, yeah.
And what is something they're offering? Okay, what are their current challenges? Not only just as from that particular department, which is like HR marketing, also overall also that has to
Oh,
be
yeah,
understand. And
absolutely.
then, of course, you have to, like, like the company will tell you, this is the consulting, you have to provide it. But I think that when whole approach, the whole business is able to understand as a consultant, I think the person can provide maybe a better
Yeah.
consulting services.
Yes. I think it's important to understand, like I said, what is the
Hmm.
entrepreneur or the business owner's vision?
Yeah.
What is he wanting to build as an organization? So as an HR consultant or as a business consultant or even as a coach, how are
Hmm.
you asking the right questions? I think that is the starting of setting up also or building your own niche
Hmm.
as a consultant. I think what is it that you are going to deliver? What is it that you're going to change as a consultant? Otherwise, a person might as well could have hired a full-time HR person, right?
Correct.
They could
Yes.
have had a complete HR department. What is it that you bring to the table? What is the outside in perspective, best practices that
Hmm.
you're bringing in? I think that is what makes the difference, Himani.
And with this, of course, I know we are talking about HR consulting. Addition, I wanted to hear the point is about the coaching industry. Okay,
Hmm.
because we both are also from coaching industry. When a lot of coaches I see around and they see few organizations, they are not hiring the coaches, not giving the coaching work, and they feel that yes, if that work can be given to the employees, it can really help to improve. But at
Yeah,
that moment, sometimes they maybe don't understand, maybe that is not the vision of the founder
absolutely.
at that
Absolutely.
moment. Yeah, then maybe the person is looking something else for the company. I think if that perspective will be able to understand, I think then coaches or maybe the training industry can maybe provide the better proposition to those companies.
Totally. In fact, not everyone is ready for all interventions at every point of time, right? There are different
Yeah,
stages of where the organization is, where the vision of the company is, and you've got to be able to propose solutions which are aligned to that. There's no point of being a square peg in a round hole. It doesn't work.
yeah, true.
So getting that
Yeah,
alignment is very important.
yeah. Sandhya, what were the most significant challenges you encountered? Okay, when
Mm.
first stepping out of the corporate life to start your own HR consultancy, and how did you overcome them?
I think one of the biggest challenges was building my credibility, establishing my credibility. I mean, why would anybody want to hire me, right? Um, that was one of the biggest uh, factors or one of the biggest challenges that I now, when I look back, I see.
Mm-hmm,
What I did was, I think I leveraged my network, reaching out to my former colleagues, my contacts,
mm-hmm,
having discussions with them, and really seeing what is it that they would want. So that's a
mm-hmm,
safe space to talk to them. That's a safe space
yeah,
where you can just explore, discuss. Uh,
mm-hmm,
Also, maybe providing some free workshops or some free interventions where they could test me and they could see, hey, what is it that she brings to the table? So what I did was reach out to my network, reach out to my former colleagues, and then also conducting some sessions or some small projects with them, maybe at a
mm-hmm,
very low cost or even sometimes absolutely free without any charge, and which helped me demonstrate what is it that I bring to them. That was one.
yeah,
The second challenge was definitely about the uh, how I was going to tide over my financial needs.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, having a fixed paycheck, very predictable benefits, very structured financial environment to completely
Initially, did it affect you, Sandhya?
sorry.
Initially, initially,
Yeah,
does it affect you?
absolutely. There were months
Mhm,
when there was no client or hardly any
mhm,
client. I was getting maybe one fourth or even lesser than what I was drawing. So,
yeah.
and that could get stressful. It could get stressful. But what I did was before I took this plunge,
Mhm,
I had I had made some reserves for at least 6 months because I was very sure that I wanted some reserve that I could tide over my whatever my financial needs for the next 6 months, and 6 months ke baad then whatever happens, I knew that I would be able to get some income.
yeah.
But I think it was difficult. I'm not saying that, but it was a conscious effort to really and yes, you had to cut needs also.
Mm,
You
yeah.
have to balance your expenses. I mean, I'm not
Mm,
trying to make it very, very flowery. It's not flowery
Mm.
because you could get bogged down. You could get very
Yeah.
demotivated, and I also did. But the challenge is, or the way to get over that is by just being very planned in your finances, and not go out of your way with very big budget expenses, and curb it to a little bit and see for the first few months. And then, of course, as you get comfortable, I think you are able to balance that away much better. I
Yeah.
think the last one more challenge that I felt was, um, there were different people in a corporate environment where you could collaborate.
Mm.
Yeah, it was a team. You
Yeah.
didn't have to do everything alone. But when you freelance or when you move to a consulting space, till the time that you have people working for you and you build your organization, you're all alone.
Mm.
It gets lonely, right? Because you're the one doing everything. You're the one who is kind of looking at, oh my God, I need to do this. I need to make a format. I need to talk to the owner. I need to talk to people. I need to maintain my invoices, everything you need to
Mm.
do. Right. So
Yeah.
it could get a little overwhelming in terms of doing everything alone. What
Mm-hmm.
I did was, I think I ensured that I was part of a lot of HR groups, a lot of events. I attended a lot of networking events. I started being part of many online groups. And then you realize that you're not alone. You kind of have conversations with other people. So that helped the feeling of loneliness to kind of become a little less. I think these are the main
Mm-hmm.
three challenges that I kind of experienced when I moved.
So do you see any changes into the HR consulting world, okay, in India when you've started and right now?
Oh, yeah. Um, it's become far more organized.
Okay.
People are valuing consulting a lot, right? So you have now there are different levels of you have the big guys who
Mm.
will come the big bang approach. They kind of they're very good with what they do. They have the whole organization behind them. They have a lot of credibility. They have the whole machinery with them.
Yeah.
But for the smaller firms or for the entrepreneurs, right, I think they are now looking at the benefit of having consulting,
Mm-hmm.
wherein they engage an external consultant, and they have a very
Yeah.
skeletal team of people working. So let's say
Mm.
the companies that I engage with, there are maybe one, two, or three HR people who are at a junior mid level, and
Mm-hmm.
then I come in and I kind of give them the strategy. I do an audit for them. So I think that the shift, what has happened is that people are looking at consulting as a way to partner with them. So
Yeah.
they're looking at consulting as business partners. And that is where I think the scale or the opportunity for consultants also has become very big. And you have a
Mm-hmm.
lot of tools now to help you to do it.
Yeah.
There are so many online tools, there are so many
Mm-hmm.
resources available, that the
Sure.
whole practice of consulting has become very structured,
Mm-hmm.
So I think, yes, there has been a huge, and of course, the monies. I mean, financially also, I think consulting, from what it was to what it is, has undergone a
It has
sea change.
increased.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So, of course, there are more opportunities, but the competition must also increase because nowadays, as compared to earlier, people now want more flexibility.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And especially in the HR profession, it's been slightly trend that you find more women as compared to men, and they want
Oh,
more
yeah.
flexibility. They would love to go for the consulting part more. Okay. So, do you think the people who want to start their consulting at this point of time, HR
Hmm.
consulting, okay, what things they can consider which really can help them?
Yeah, it's a huge shift. Okay, it's a big decision. So I think
Yeah.
you've got to be prepared to be very, very clear in your head. Talk to family members, talk to people who have been in this role for some time, and really understand every side of this whole initiative or this whole role. So I think the most important thing is, how financially prepared are you?
Yeah.
I mean, it may seem very immaterial or very irrelevant, but trust me, it's not. When you
Mm-hmm.
transition from a stable corporate paycheck and you walk into this whole uncertain world of freelancing or consulting, it can be very daunting.
Yeah.
So assess your financial situation first, right? Ensure that you have enough financial support have a buffer for about 3 to 6 months, right? So that's one. Second is the mindset. Now it needs a
You know what?
significant,
I was going to ask you this thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It needs a big mindset shift because as
Mm-hmm.
an employee, you work in a very different function. And trust me, it took me at least a year to unlearn everything and to get into the consulting mindset, because here the ball game is very different. You are not just responsible for delivering a particular piece of work, you're responsible for the whole broad gamut of activities. You have to look at acquisition, marketing, operations, finance, everything. Also, you've got to look at it from the business owner's point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Matlab, when you're working in a organization, many times you are not really, well, I wouldn't say, but you are not really too bothered about um, what the owner is thinking, because
True.
you are doing just your part. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're a consultant, I think because you're partnering with the top brass and you are the only person who is going to talk to them at that level of business, you've got to change your mindset and you've got to think broad. You've got to think, very strategic. Uh, Also, I think one needs to be very honest with how comfortable are you with taking risks. If you're not a risk taker, if you're not comfortable with uncertainty, I would say be very mindful of what decisions you're going to take on this, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be very confident when you say that you're going to get into a consulting practice, especially for women, because um, there could be a self doubt or imposter syndrome that kind of, you know, sometimes creeps in. And then
Mm-hmm.
you've got to manage your consulting practice, and if you have a family to support, you've got to manage that. You could feel really low at times, so you've got to be very sure that, especially for women, they talk to their family members, they talk to their kids, they tell them, hey, look, you know what, although it seems like I don't have to go to the office from 9 to 5, trust me, I'm going to be working even more. I might be on calls till late night, I might be working even on the weekends. And you need to be very clear that you are clear yourself internally, and you also have the support of your ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
um, and I think one more thing is that you understand what is your USP, what is your niche.
Mm.
Identify that.
True.
Matlab, what is going to be the differentiator, and that's critical.
Mm-hmm.
What areas of HR are you most passionate about, and how can you, and where is the demand, and what is your offering going to be? Right, so assess your strengths. I mean, is it going to be recruitment, is it going to be performance management, is it going to be change management, or is it going to be employee engagement? So talk to people, get some market research done, talk to
True.
potential clients, and then understand where is it that I am strong in, and what is it that I can add value, which area can I add value to. um I think
On
another
this
thing.
point, Sandhya, I really want to say something when we were talking about USP.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, of course, for a lot of solopreneurs and freelancers or consultants, when they start something, they feel, okay, fine, this is a niche I have identified for myself, okay?
yeah.
But also go and search if this is a niche, which is something market is looking also or not,
Absolutely. Is there a
okay?
demand for that niche?
Yes, yes. Is there a demand also not? Because for an example, somebody maybe identified for an example, one of the HR field, okay, maybe recruitment or something. Of course, it is a requirement for any company. But if somebody identified and at that moment, maybe there is not requirement for the companies and you will
Mm.
not find the market, and how you are going to get the business, if you
Yeah,
think also. So I think before making decision, yes, USP, check that USP with the market research. And also sometimes, what we do, what I realized, because I do a lot of personal branding for people, during the finding the market niche, they always think this is something, okay, fine, I have done the work, I'm good at, let me go. But sometimes they
mm.
don't realize it. Maybe through some of their other talents and skills, they are more good at
Yeah,
and can make that particular field in a much better niche also.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
In fact,
And Sandhya, that I want to ask you the next question is, of course, you have shared a lot of strategies, but can you share
yeah,
three strategy insights or strategies that help you establish credibility? Because I think that is very, very important. Okay, and especially nowadays, credibility is something people go for a social media
yeah.
and track your first clients.
So one is, I think look at like one. First thing that I did was I really looked at who are in my list of contacts in my professional network. Who do I have? I think client building is, let's face it, the most important thing. You
Yeah.
need to have a funnel. You need to have a list of clients, possible potential clients, who you believe you can approach. So that's the first strategy that you need to do. Everything else comes, you know, the next steps, right? So make a list of people who you believe you can approach, right?
Mm.
And then you kind of work on what is your USP, what is your profile, what is your offering going to look like. So that's a very clear strategy that I did. And I think most people tend to go all over the place, but the real thing that I did was to sit and make a very clear list of maybe just 5 people.
Yeah.
Talk to them. Go five, nahi, go to the next. So be very focused and like very very sharp in your in who you are going to approach. Yeah. The second thing that I think is very important today is, what are you positioning yourself as? And Himani, this I can't stress enough. Are you positioning yourself as a thought leader?
Yeah.
You know, there are enough and more ways for you to get somebody who will help you with a certain initiative, with a certain engagement. But how are you positioning yourself as somebody who is a thought leader? So can you write
Mm.
blogs? Can
Yeah.
you position yourself on maybe LinkedIn, uh, Instagram, and other professional networks, where you're really looking at, you're talking about things that matter to you and which matter to the industry or the professional world at large.
Mm.
How are you weaving that as to what you
Yeah.
have and what the market wants? So positioning yourself, contributing articles, reading
Mm-hmm.
a lot of books, and sharing
Yeah.
that with people.
Mm-hmm.
um, I think building that social media presence, Himani, is critical. I can't, and I'm somebody
Either if
who
we
didn't
like it
do
or
it.
don't like it.
No, and believe me, I now see the
Yeah.
impact of this because I failed to do it.
Mm.
I I said, I don't need it, and I'll maybe word of mouth and this, that, and the other. But oh boy, was I wrong. You
Mm.
know, how are you building your brand? What are you doing to really tell people who you are? Otherwise, there are 20,000 consultants there. Why
Correct.
should anybody engage with me? Right. So, um, what are you positioning yourself as? What is it that, who are you going to approach?
Mm.
And what is your niche? I think these are the three
Correct.
strategies that for me were very important. I think it's important for everybody. And of course,
Mm.
like I said, I keep talking about it, but having
Mm-hmm.
very clear ideas about how it's going to impact you financially. So I think these are the few things that at least have been part of my journey from corporate world to a consultant.
So there are one, two things I really want to mention here, like which maybe people can take. One thing is, as compared to earlier, nowadays, a lot of networking events happen.
Yeah.
Okay. I also attend a lot of networking events. But the thing is, in that networking event, you have to see if you're maybe building maybe or maybe contacting maybe two people only, for an example. But are you doing any follow-up with them or not? That is
Yeah, yeah,
important.
yeah.
Just going and meeting there will not work.
Yeah.
Another part is that like a lot of people sometimes, go to the networking with I would say just to go and attend, okay, but do not go with a proper strategy how to build the relationship there,
Absolutely.
okay. So I always will like advise that whenever go to the networking event, keep some intention,
Mm.
okay. So which is something will help you there. Another part is like, especially for entrepreneurs and freelancers, of course, they build, as you mentioned, their niche, their brands, and everything. But when we work in a company, even I have never done that. I realized it very later. We
Mm.
never work on our personal branding to become an
Oh, yeah.
industry leader. Okay, we just focus only one thing. Just keep doing the work. Okay, do our job. Just enjoy it, and then just get our salary. But I think from that moment only, if we start building our brand, it will not only help within the same organization or industry, but in case in the future we want to start something of our own, the
Yeah.
credibility will be there.
Absolutely. Absolutely,
Yeah,
Himani.
yeah,
And I think one more thing that I mean, this is a learning or a takeaway that I have had, is to be as real and authentic as you can. I know it sounds very esoteric and abstract, but
yeah.
really, you are working with any organization as a consultant. How real are you? you don't need to use big jargons and everything that you've learned in the corporate world. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. How are you solving their business problem? Are you understanding the business, and how are you positioning yourself to solve that problem? That's all that matters. And the more
True.
authentic and real you are with yourself and with the business, I think you don't need to do much really.
That's very well said, Sandhya.
And and the
Yeah.
last thing is keep upgrading yourself. Be
Yes. Yeah.
aware of what is happening in the market. I cannot stress this enough. Read
Yeah.
up, read more, and just be part of as many new events as you can. Keep yourself abreast of everything that's happening, because when you are talking to a business owner, you are
Mm,
talking very broad perspective. You need to understand what their business is as well,
correct.
not just HR, but what's happening in their world of in their world. How are you aligning yourself with that? What do you know about that world? So,
Mm.
and of course, best practices, engage with people, network more, all of that.
Yeah. And one point I want to mention here, like, as the journey sometimes or many times become lonely and also with challenges, always surround yourself with the right, I would say, the like-minded people. Because
Absolutely.
otherwise, if those people will not be there, maybe sometimes, maybe it will start affecting the health, the
Yeah,
stress part, or maybe you will think, have I taken the right decision or not?
correct.
Okay. So I think that
Yeah,
is something which people can say, do, because they not only will help you with a lot of brainstorming, getting ideas, but also will help you mentally, I would say, and physically also then. Same.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Uh, It's a lonely world, actually, Himani. You know,
Yeah.
it's very important to have that ecosystem where you feel supported, where you feel that there is somebody whom you can share, be it whoever, be it your family, your friends, or whatever
True.
it is, but ensure that you've got somebody whom you can bounce off ideas with, you can share, you can, engage.
Mm,
And that's a very valid point you made. It's something that uh, of late I'm getting to know that more.
mm,
In those days when I started about 10, 12 years back, it used to bother me that there's nobody whom I
yeah.
can share what's happening. But today I think you've got the ecosystem, you've got that support facilities. So yeah, very valid
Yeah.
point.
With this, just want to give a small example. Like today, also I was talking to some of the coach, and so the coach was going through some of the challenges. Okay, but okay, she knows me. Okay, maybe she's tell. Okay, fine. This is the way I can go back to Himani and take the help. Okay, so
Yeah,
she connected with me. So if you have the people around you, you know where to go and to whom to take that help at that moment. Yeah, because we
totally.
all go through the challenges. This is the part of our life. We can't, run away from that. With this, and I want to ask you next question is, for women in corporate HR roles, considering starting their own consultancies, what are some of the key factors they should evaluate before making this career change? Of course, you have mentioned a lot, but still, do you think there are a few more factors which they can think?
I think it's a summary of what I said. One is leverage your
Mm,
existing network, reach out to them and see.
yeah.
Talk to them and have your groundwork done even before you make that plunge, even before you resign. So
Mm-hmm.
do a fair bit of groundwork. Um, Specialize and define what your niche is going to be. Be very clear
Mm-hmm.
about that, right? And then see what is it that you can build on that. So define your niche, right? Define the aspects of your niche. What are going to be your offerings, which are going to be your USPs,
Yeah.
right? Third is your strong online presence. You cannot
Yeah.
escape that nowadays. I know,
Mm,
uh, including me, I'm not somebody who took to it very well, but I now realize that it's important. The world is changing, so move ahead with the world. So have a very
correct.
strong online presence. When I say strong, have a meaningful online presence. You don't need to do a post every day,
True.
but whatever you do, ensure that there is a lot of value, there is a lot of thought leadership in that, and build that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Offer value to your clients,
Yeah.
and even before you pitch, there is a relationship building. The client understands what is the value that they get by engaging with you. So, and be very clear, crisp in your value prop. So that's again very important.
Yeah.
I think result orientation is very important. So
Mm-hmm.
a lot of consultants, by virtue of the nature of the way it is, um, it tends to be very abstract. कि
Mm,
मैं तो I'm only going to consult. I'm only going to tell you. Many consultants, I think, shy away from being really aligned to results or focus on results. And if you are
Mm.
able to deliver results with numbers,
Yeah,
data, only then will business see the value in engaging with you. So focus on delivering
true.
results, not just service. So move away from offering services and move towards offering results.
Of
Um,
course.
invest
Because
in
every
yourself.
company want to, have the results because that is something going to help them to get
Yeah,
the profits.
absolutely. And
Yeah,
every penny spent by the organization, they would need to know what is the ROI. So
correct.
you've got to be
Yeah,
very clear in that.
yeah.
Invest in yourself
Yeah.
personally, professionally, do that. And I think, like I said, stay authentic to
Mm-hmm.
your brand, stay authentic to your values. Uh, One of the reasons that I know that there have been a few clients who have not aligned with my value system, and I
Mm.
have not been able to work with them because
Okay.
you don't have the support of the organization. You don't have a corporate
Mm.
backing. You are on your
Yeah,
own. So it's all the more important for you to engage with clients where there is value alignment. Now, though
correct.
those values can be your values, but when you engage with the client, ensure that there is a value alignment. So in summary, I say have a strong client base.
Mm-hmm.
Go for value driven relationships, right? Define your
Yeah.
niche specialization very clearly. Position yourself very, very smartly, I would say, and have the confidence and I think embrace that whole journey of entrepreneurship. It's a beautiful journey.
Mm.
It's all encompassing. It teaches you a lot. it
Yeah,
there's
true.
a lot of churn, there is a lot of learning or awareness, but also what comes out of it is this joy of creation. There's this joy of building something from scratch. There is this joy of delivering results. I see great joy when I've seen companies that have moved from where they were to where they
Mm-hmm.
are today. Even if I've been able to contribute 10-20% to that growth, I think it's a huge joy. So I think these are
And
the
I
few
think so,
things.
it will also help the entrepreneurship journey to maybe know your, the hidden skills sometimes.
Yeah,
Because,
yeah, yeah.
what happened is that we never thought, okay, I have the skill. I never thought about it. But when you
Yeah.
start doing it, because you have to do everything your own, right? And then it's like, oh, I could do it this easily. This was always being there with me. I never
Okay.
thought about it. Yeah,
It's like you unlayer yourself. There is a lot
correct.
of layers that you unlayer, and you say, "Wow, I didn't know I had this, or I didn't know I could do this." So
Yeah,
it's a beautiful journey, and I think embrace it. Embrace that whole
yeah.
entrepreneurial journey.
And with this, Sandhya, I want to just mention one point, especially for the women who are into the HR profession or in any profession. If planning to leave their corporate job and want to start something of their own, okay, always check your support system. Okay.
Yeah.
Because many times what I felt is that initially they decide to leave and they discuss maybe with the family or the close friend circles, fraternity, okay, to before making this decision. But once they did do it, what happens is after some point of time they realize it, they're not getting that support from maybe the family or the close ones. And then
Okay.
they are like, earlier you have supported me, but now not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they not getting the success also, the ventures, and not getting the support system also at the back. And it really
Absolutely.
affects them.
It's a big game changer. When you
Yeah,
not having support versus having support is what can make or break this whole journey of doing this consulting practice or being on your own. It's very important.
yeah. And with this, I will ask you the last question is what advice do you have for women in HR who want to build a strong client base? Because client base is very easy to say, but it's not at all easy to build.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm.
And establish a reputable consultancy in the early stages.
There's no one answer to this. I think
Mm-hmm,
I've said all of that. So I think it is, like I said, it is look at your professional network, look at your LinkedIn contacts, look at your people who you have, business heads, BU heads who've been part of your organization.
mm-hmm,
HR being a service function, you do service business units or delivery units. So many of them who have possibly been with you in the organization, check with them. And I think a lot of them go on to start their own businesses, right?
correct.
They've already seen you at work. So that is one of the best ways for you to reach out and say, hey, you know what? I know that you have kind of started your own organization. I have moved away from corporate, or I'm planning to, and this is going to be my offering. So the best way to do it is to go with first known people,
Mm-hmm.
Build, 1 or 2 years, do small projects with them. Uh, and this is very, very important thing, which I forget, is publish those case studies. Take
Yeah,
testimonials from clients. Very, very important.
true.
So when you get a testimonial from a client where you've impacted them,
Mm-hmm.
publish it. You
Yeah,
talk about it, write it in your LinkedIn blog, whatever it is. um, Write case studies about what is it that you've done and you've impacted. And when you start doing that, when you are talking to, when those case studies or those testimonials or blogs talk to different clients, you need to have a funnel. You need to have, agar if you have 10 people, possible potential clients, maybe one or two might click.
yeah,
So it's important for you to keep conversations, to keep conversing, to keep engaging, to put yourself out there.
yeah.
So I think that's one of the only things that you can do. Apart from that, LinkedIn, of course, you have LinkedIn, you have Instagram, you have networking events that you can be part of. See if you can give some presentations in some events, and but those presentations have, or those talks have to be very crisp, very clear. Reels is in one big way. Um, but existing network, leveraging that is going to
Mm-hmm.
be, I think, a fundamental block for you to work. And then they are the ones who will talk about it to their circle, and that's how it spreads. And that's how it
True.
grows.
And I think sometimes what they also can, start, yes, you are very right about the case studies and testimonials. But one suggestion, like I would always give that whenever taking the case study and testimonial, make a proper format.
Mm,
Okay. Because sometimes when you see the client write a testimonial and format, whatever is coming on their head at that moment, they just
yeah.
write it down.
Yeah.
Okay. Make a proper format in the series of questions. Okay. How do you want to take the testimonial and give that to the client? And then they
Correct.
write it. Then it will become more effective also when you will showcase to the other clients. And I think another factor maybe what they really can do is that maybe, of course, leverage the existing network. Also check into the current market also what few of the new consultants are coming, what strategy they are taking it on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because few who are already existing, their network has been built. Okay. They know from what their learnings, but also go and check new consultants, what they are doing it and see where to break that market for the client
Yes.
funnel.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I would say, Sandhya, I think it was a lovely having a conversation with you and having so many insights. And I really hope, these insights really can help those HR professionals who want to start their own consultancy.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I think there's, like I said, it's a wonderful journey to embark on. So I wish anybody who's going this route all the very best. And
Hmm.
it's fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Sandhya, for coming today.
Thank you, Himani. Thank you. All the very best to you too. Bye.
Thank you.